The Wealth of Mr. Williams. The story starts when the housekeeper, Miss Catherine, reports that she found Mr. Williams' body stabbed to death with a knife on the floor of his bedroom. 4 suspects were listed out, all who had motives to kill Mr. Williams because of his wealth. The first suspect is the housekeeper, Miss Catherine, who comes to the house 2 times a week to dust, sweep, and clean. The second suspect is Mr. Williams' daughter, Miss Lucy, who just recently moved into her own house. The third suspect is Mr. Williams' family friend, Miss Lynn, who is a single mother of Charles, who is now 18, and the fourth suspect. The DNA on the knife was sent to the lab amplified using PCR on 2 different VNTR loci. They were run on 2 separate gels to create DNA fingerprints. In this process of gel electrophoresis, DNA is loaded on the negative end, migrating towards the positive region, with the smaller fragments of DNA moving faster and thus farther than the larger fragments. The smaller fragments means that they have less base pairs. The purpose of using gel electrophoresis is to test on more than one loci in order to confirm that the DNA found on the scene matches the real murderer. Now we can compare the DNA of the knife to the DNA of each of our 4 suspects and even the victim, just to confirm that none of the DNA belonged to Mr. Williams. Here we have the 2 VNTR loci. Looking at the first and second locus, we can see that Miss Lynn, suspect 3, is a biological parent of Charles, suspect 4, because the top bands match. Now let's examine locus 1. We can see that the victim's bands do not match the DNA sample bands. And we can also see that Lucy and Lynn's bands do not match the DNA sample bands either. This confirms that since Catherine and Charles' bands match, that they are guilty. However, we cannot just accuse them right away. We need to examine the second locus to be sure. Now, looking at the second locus, we can see that the DNA sample bands do not match the victim, Catherine, or Lynn's bands. It does match Lucy's. However, since Lucy's bands did not match in the first locus, she is not the killer. Charles, however, is the killer because his bands match in both the loci. Charles admits that he is the killer and gets thrown in jail. Turns out Charles wanted to kill Mr. Williams to attain his wealth since he had just moved out on his own and had no money. His mother was super poor since she was a single mother and could not afford to give Charles any money.